Our next reading will be in page 7 of the provided packet. So you want to check out page 7. Some things to consider. Up to this point we have kind of discussed some of the disruptions or events that have caused Yellowstone to change in terms of physical appearance, landscape, the way that the land is shaped. Up to this point we also talked about wolves being removed and reintroduced into Yellowstone National Park. We talked about how the reintroduction of wolves into the park could affect different people like tourists, ranchers, people who live near the park, park rangers. So we're gonna expand our thinking a little bit more, and as we read through page 7, a very brief section of text, we're gonna look for some information that might be able to help us with understanding the following 3 things on our screen here. First, looking for the different animal species found in the park. Looking for the boundaries of these animals, like do they have to stay in Yellowstone or can they leave Yellowstone? Where are they confined to? And we're also going to be looking for different concerns that different people may have regarding these wolves. What page 7 should look like talks about wolves in Yellowstone. I'll give you a moment to get there and then we'll start looking at this text. Feel free to highlight or annotate any of this information, as it may be beneficial to you a little bit later on as we start discussing this stuff. So, we're looking at wolves in Yellowstone. When Yellowstone National Park was created in 1872, wolves were already living there. At the same time, the number of humans in the area and in the United States was increasing. Cattle ranches in Montana and Wyoming helped to meet the growing population's demand for meat. People who killed large animals such as wolves and bears because they were worried about their cattle, pets, other wildlife, and human safety. By 1930, there were no wolves left in Yellowstone National Park. So what we see here is we see that people were killing wolves and also bears because they worried about those wolves and those bears attacking and killing cattle, pets, and other wildlife. I'm also seeing Montana and Wyoming. Thinking back to the map of Yellowstone, Yellowstone is kind of goes into both states a little bit. It's predominantly in the one state, but it extends slightly into the other neighboring states. So boundaries, I'm starting to wonder if these are the boundaries of these wolves. After the Endangered Species Act was passed in 1973, the gray wolf was listed as a protected species. This meant that the wolves could no longer be killed. By the mid-1980s, there were packs of gray wolves in northwestern Montana, but none in Yellowstone National Park. Park officials decided to reintroduce the gray wolf into the park. They wanted to make Yellowstone an environment more like it was before large numbers of people arrived. They began with 14 wolves in 1995. These wolves had pups, and by the end of 1995 there were 21 wolves in the park. The number of wolves continued to increase, and today there are approximately 100 wolves in the park. They travel in packs that average 4 to 9 wolves. These wolf packs move in and out of the park. So boundaries right here, it's talking in and out of the park. Now I'm seeing that the wolves, they're not just stuck inside the park, they can leave the park as well. Last sentence. They hunt small and large animals, including moose, deer, and bighorn sheep. So it looks like these animals here, moose, deer, bighorn sheep, those are found in the park, maybe outside the park as well. They're able to leave and enter the park. They can move in and out, so that's talking about the boundaries. We can see that the population went from 14 wolves up to 100 wolves, so the population has grown significantly since 1995. So that concludes our reading for this part. Now we're going to be doing some activities based on this reading to expand what we have already learned.